to the Nursing Dose with your host, Dr. Fair Laurent. Today, I have a very special guest, and we're going to be talking about transitioning to nurse entrepreneurship. So, today, I have the pleasure of speaking with, excuse me, Fallon Flowers, a nurse practitioner turned entrepreneur, and we're going to get to all things business. So if you want to say hello, introduce yourself and tell the people what you do.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. And it's good to now be on your podcast. Hello, everybody. I'm Fallon M. Flowers, board certified women's health nurse practitioner. I am the founder and CEO of Nursing Inspired LLC, where I help Black youth and adults to learn to prepare, plan, and pay for nursing school and have a competitive plan for their applications. And I am also now building something new, but you can find me at your GYN girlfriend across social media as well on Instagram, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok rather, and YouTube.
Awesome. And I was on your podcast. So if you want to talk to them a little bit about the podcast that you have.
Yes. So I have Listen Up Future Nurse podcast. And I really like to make sure that I'm helping future nurses to be exposed to a career in nursing, from pre-nursing students that are like them, nursing students, and established nurses, so that they can kind of know what's out there and what's available. And so just to be able to be exposed to that. And I'm in season 3 and so excited.
Awesome. And I love that you're helping the pre-nursing students really transition into nursing, and that you've built that, into your business, because I don't really see anybody out there doing that. And, as a nurse career coach, I focus on the nursing students and the new grads. And I think there's not a lot of support for nursing students and those trying to get into the healthcare field. So love what you're doing with that, and kind of what inspired you to start that.
So for the business, the podcast, or both?
The business.
Oh, okay. So the business, oh my gosh. So now it's going on 8 years, actually, believe it or not. But I was teaching at a university where they had career exposure opportunities, where students could attend a 1-week seminar to find out about different career paths. And they had a healthcare category, but nobody was talking about nursing. So I decided to create a course. But over the time of me creating that, they didn't want us to do our own marketing to outside schools and organizations to allow more students to be able to have the opportunity for that. And I was also seeing with that, that there was not a lot of Black representation. And so my concern was, where is the exposure or opportunity for these students? And why can't we send this, why can't we invite these students to have this opportunity? And their main emphasis and focus was on marketing to international schools and to schools that they previously had success from, but they weren't intentionally inviting any. And we have a lot of pockets of private and public, predominantly Black high schools, and those students weren't getting that opportunity at all. And so that's when I decided to say, you know what, especially at the end, my class kept getting to capacity, and they wanted to actually buy my class from me and have another instructor teach another session. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. These are my experiences. This is my course. I'm going to create this, and I'm going to give these students the exposure and opportunity that they need to prepare, to not only be exposed to nursing, but to learn how to prepare, plan, and pay for it.
That's amazing, because so many high school students, or just, other people that may be interested in nursing, may not know, the pathway to get there. So the fact that you're really helping them with that is amazing. So, talk to me, I guess, a little bit about, the nurse entrepreneurship journey, the transition to nurse entrepreneur. And I know that we met at the Nurses Making Money Moves conference, which was amazing to finally meet you in person. Love your energy and everything you're doing. So talk to me about, the beginning stages of nurse entrepreneurship. And for those who are watching out there, let us know where you're watching from. If you have any questions, say hello. But for anyone watching, if they want to start a business, kind of take them through that beginning journey of what you kind of went through and what, your thoughts, struggles were and things like that.
Yes, that's good. I tell you, the journey to nurse entrepreneurship is really one that is not for the faint of heart. I can definitely say. I would always, always, always say to make sure to have yourself a coach. That is what has been my saving grace, to be able to, just go through this entire journey, and making, and then my coaches had coaches as well. So, I think just starting off, as I'm kind of reflecting back, I got a scholarship for a program with Michelle Green Rhodes, who had a Nurse Entrepreneur Society. And so that was a full 1-year program, and I was with a cohort of other nurses who were seeking to go into nurse entrepreneurship. And I learned so absolutely so much, including I was actually a guest on her podcast. So I was able to see that was a part of how my seed was planted, that I wanted to start my own podcast around 2021, 2022, somewhere around there. But although I had launched on my own, I got the name of the business and did some of the legal setup and all of that. Well, no, you know what? I'm sorry. Take a step back. I had the website, I think, and the social media names, and I was doing some things, but I didn't get formalized officially until I got a nurse coach, which was nurse coach Michelle Green Rhodes. So that is what helped me to do all the things that I needed to do officially, just making sure to file my LLC and to do all the other things that you kind of need to do to start a business, and just to also think of multiple streams of income, if it's, not only having a book, but having a podcast, speaking, coaching, having courses, all of these things, and just going along the way. So that was my initial start, in the beginning, I guess I'll say. So I started on my own, but I really wish I would have learned a lot of what I learned from her the years prior to that. I think I had about 3 or 4 years prior that it was more of a passion project, more than a business.
Yeah. So from what I'm hearing is, and this is kind of what I actually went through this realization too, when I first started about 3 years ago with the nurse, career coaching as as a nurse career coach, starting the business. In the beginning, you don't really know what you're doing, right? So you're like researching YouTube University, reading books, all these different things, reading about marketing, sales, different things. But what I'm hearing from you is, right, what helped you along the way is to have mentorship, coaching from people that kind of were already doing it, right?
Yes.
So I think it's so important to invest in yourself as a nurse, not only just for professional development, because, a lot of us are quick to do the certifications or all these different things, but from a business standpoint, or even just personal development, having coaches and mentors can really take you from point A to point B a lot faster than you can get there yourself. So, if you wanted to kind of speak about that part about investing.
Yes. You literally read my mind right when you said investment. I'm like, yes. You can't, if you're going to invest in yourself in so many other ways, you're going to make sure you go and get your hair done and your nails done, and you're going to get these nice outfits to be presentable for whatever ventures you are doing. That's investment. When you are going to, like you mentioned, to conferences and where you're going to, different things like that for personal development, even if you're getting extra certifications, that's investment. I think people don't think about it, using that term or in that way. But it's so terribly important to invest in your personal development in that way too, because it's not just about looking good and having all of the, the brights and the shinies. You got to make sure to do all of the background work, in the background. That's so important. And so having a coach and, taking those courses and doing those different things that you need to do to invest. I mean, even if it's upgrading your computer, invest. Invest, if it's your microphone that you need to get a, better camera, if you need to get something that, I'm just so grateful. what was it, a few weeks ago, I actually spoke at a a conference for young girls, and my current coach, Dr. Lauren Michaels Harris, he was the one who told me, one, we need to get you some professional photos, okay, because I hadn't gotten to that yet. But he also told me about this device that you can use that follows you while you speak. So I popped my phone in there. So as I was walking across the room back and forth, I had something recording for me. That's investment. But it wasn't just, the investment of that device. Initially, it was all these years that I had been investing in my time with him, but I've investing my finances as well, and just really investing, I'll say, just mentally, spiritually, financially, all of those different things, because it's an investment. It's a mindset change, and throughout the coaching with Michelle Green Rose, the coaching with Dr. Lauren Michaels Harris, I've even had just coaching or mentorship from other people along the way. A couple of guys that were here on LinkedIn that had something called the Coaches Corner, and they would go live every morning. So I was on with them. It's all about investment, time and money. You have to invest.
Yeah, because the thing is, as a solopreneur, as you're entering business, right? Like you said, it's all about a mindset, especially changing from an employee mindset to an entrepreneurial mindset is huge for nurses. And a lot of nurses struggle with that, particularly in terms of like how much to charge for your services. So if you're watching this, we talked about setting up your business structure or just getting your actual legal things in check and just registering your business. A lot of people don't know this. It can literally just take 3 to 4 days to actually just register your business. And I, wrote a book on it, Nurses Making Money Moves, A Nurse's Guide to Starting a Business. And it's on my website, nursefair.com, just throwing that in. You got to self-promote, right?
Yeah.
So basically, it takes 3 to 4 days. So people think it's like this massive thing that you have to do to actually register a business and start, but it's not. Really, the work begins after you register your business, or really it should start before, with building your personal brand, being visible, networking, doing all of these things. Because if no one knows about you, right, we talk about a lot about the no trust and like factor. If no one knows about you, they don't know about your services. And nurses already have things that you can sell. I talk to nurses all the time, like, hey, have you thought about starting a business? They're like, oh, what am I going to do? Right? A service-based business, such as just doing coaching or consulting, is the easiest thing that you can do, and use what you already know, your intellectual property, to start making money. Like, I just spoke to a nursing student the other day, tutoring other nursing students.
Okay.
You can make money that way, right?
Exactly.
So don't think that you have to, anyone can really start a business. Think about most entrepreneurs. Some of them just finished high school, or some of them don't even have maybe couldn't finish school, or whatever the case is. You don't necessarily need an MBA to start a business, right? People think it's so difficult, but if you want to, I guess, talk to me about that part, I kind of veered off a bit, but like the importance of not only investing, but also networking, being visible, like we're doing here on LinkedIn, having a podcast, building that personal brand, networking. What has that done for you in your business as an entrepreneur?
So before I get into where it takes me in my business, I just want to say you have to step outside of your comfort zone. Okay. You have to be open to it. So that's why I'm also pointing back to the mindset shift, because, if you're a shy person, that's going to be something that you have to overcome. If you're not comfortable with being in front of the camera and going out in public, talking to people, letting you be the front facing person, you're going to have to break outside of your comfort zone. But yes, absolutely. Networking is absolutely key. So, that is not only the digital and online marketing, or networking piece rather, but as well as the in-person thing. A lot of people, I think, sometimes can take that for granted, because it's like, okay, well, I got an Instagram, or I got a YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of this stuff. But going in person and meeting people, for people to like feel your energy, you can shake hands, you can hug, you can dance, whatever, all the things, and really get a vibe, for who this person is and what they're about. It's just something different about that. And so, but with that, having all of your stuff set up in place, I think is the other thing, because you don't want to go out, to networking events or to have vendor tables and all of this type of stuff. And then the stuff that, that needs to take care of people to nurture that know, like, and trust factor is not there. So you do need to make sure that I would say is something that you want to do, so something that I love having is my digital business card, those paper business cards, those are, I don't know, some people still hold on to them, but, do they really use them? I don't know. But, you do have to think about, as you are making these investments with your time and your money as a, beginning entrepreneur or established one, how you're going to save money and time as much as possible. So it's just like, hey, they sent me that one card one time, I keep it with me, and I can scan as I go. And then when anybody volunteers or with me when I do networking events, they got a copy of that, so they can go ahead and have people scan that too, instead of giving out a whole bunch of paper business cards, for instance. But that in-person piece is so good, especially your local areas, going to different business fairs or anything that is related to community fairs and, whatever's in your industry. If it's a health fair, just that networking is just, it's worth more than gold.
Yeah, because you really don't know what opportunities will come just from conversations and networking. And, maybe you can't get out or can't do too much stuff, but even just having a one-on-one phone call or Zoom, I feel like Zoom or somewhere visual is a little bit more, probably the closest thing that you can get to in person. And then, like you mentioned, like the conferences, and this is why I decided to do this conference. And I'm so happy that I did, because the level of, connecting that happened at that conference was just incredible. It was like just magical to see everybody in the same room, similar mindset about, wanting to level up in business, start a business, was just great, because you also get a level of like sharing information where you might not know, and you're sharing information, you may not have the exact same business, but the same concepts you could use to like really help your business grow. And then, a lot of collaborations happening, right? Because I think sometimes in nursing, if you're starting a business and it might be in the same realm, like for me, other nurse career coaches, I love connecting with them, but some of them might think, oh, well, it's competitive, but no, it's that entrepreneurial mindset and also abundance mindset. Like there's enough for everyone to go around. So don't think about it as a competition. Collaborate with other people, because you never know what will come from that, right?
Absolutely. And, the other thing is, if that is not specifically your market, or maybe you don't serve in that state or that specific niche or whatever that is, hey, you can refer on, So like, while I do things with career coaching, my lane is just pre-nursing students. I'm not doing it with nursing students, and I'm not doing it with new grads. That is not my area. I can help you out a little bit, but that ain't my area. So go see Dr. Farah, if you need some additional help. So
yeah, that is amazing. And then just quickly, I just, as we wrap up, one thing I do want to share, people might get a bit overwhelmed in the beginning, right? So if you have an idea, you literally just need an idea, a vision, and you just need to just take action towards that. When we say take action, literally just start the LLC, do your research. If you can't afford a coach or a mentor, you literally can go on ChatGPT, you can go on Google, YouTube, and learn how to even just register your LLC in whatever state you're in. All you need is, what I say is, like, you just need a cell phone. Your cell phone, you can create videos where you can be visible, you can post on social media, you can start making phone calls, you can email people, and people that you already know could potentially either refer you clients or become your clients, right? So don't be afraid to go out and make the ask. But all you literally need is internet, or your phone to start a business. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And just the vision and just take that action. You don't need fancy, yes, eventually to build credibility and all that. Yes, eventually you'll need a website, but I don't even recommend getting a website right in the beginning
Right.
because you may not have all the ideas, the vision, the clarity to really put it together, right?
Mhm.
So people think, oh, I'm going to have to spend money on this, and then they get overwhelmed, right? You
Yeah.
don't need to do all that. Just put it into action, start making some phone calls, right?
Yeah.
So tell me what has been, I guess, like the biggest, tips that you can give other people to start or, grow their business.
Mm. Yes. No. Woo! Lord, after all this time, of being
Yeah.
in business, this is like I could just pour, but um I will say, so you mentioned having a dream or a vision. Once that name comes to you, please secure your name. Secure the name across all the social media sites, even if you don't use it, because at least you have it for continuity's purpose. So me, I'm at Nursing Inspired across all the sites. I'm at Your GYN Girlfriend across all the sites. I haven't posted a thing for Your GYN Girlfriend, but I have it locked down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm passionate. I'm over here shaking the computer, y'all. And you're absolutely right. Yeah, so you don't have to have the website right away. But I will say, you can have a free, you can get a free Google website. It is limited, but it is something if you just really felt that need, but save your money, like she said, y'all, because, there's going to be a cost to everything, but as many free, programs and things that are out there, like she mentioned, Chat GPT is free. Um, there's a free Canva, that you can use, that has some things that you can use to create that. But yes, phone and internet, you can do a lot of that stuff. That's just calling somebody, that's in your cell phone plan, email, that's free. Social media, that's free. So I would definitely say secure the name. My other big thing, I would probably say, with all of that, couple of other big things. If you did secure that name and you all like really sold on that name and you've done your due diligence and research to make sure that nobody else has that name, because that's a part of your LLC registration, is making sure you have the name, that you don't have the name like somebody else in your state. If you can, I would also say secure the domain, because typically that's about $12, $16 a year. So get that .com, whatever that is for your business. So that way you don't have to worry about trying to buy that off of somebody later or trying to manipulate the name of it and all of that type of stuff. So, because it just becomes difficult for continuity's purpose. But my other thing is, I think I'll say document everything. Us as nurses, we already know how to document your steps along the way. If you have to screenshot or screen record as you're going along the way, that way, if you need to start another business, if you need to have people come on to help you, you can have what we would consider standard operating procedures, also known as SOPs. So you have that. So that way, if you need somebody to do that new thing or extra things of something that you've already set up, you don't have the time, you could have you a virtual assistant and they can do that stuff for you, because after a while, being a solopreneur is exhausting. So if you could hire some help or get a volunteer, a student extern, something, at least you already have it written down. So I think those would be some of my top, beginning steps.
Yeah, those are some amazing tips. And then also, the Small Business Administration has so many resources out there. And then, like you said, to tap into your community, and even like the chambers of commerce and things like that. And then just get outside of just thinking nursing. Start connecting and going to events like small business conferences and things like that, where you can, business expos, where you can learn from other industries as well, right? Like go outside, right?
Absolutely. You gotta go outside in the rain. Sometimes you gotta go in the rain, because I had my tent set up at an event last year and we were in the rain.
You got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do, but you got You got to be present. You have
Right,
to be
right,
present. Nobody, like you said, nobody's going to know who you are. You know,
right.
nobody's going to just roll across and be like, oh, that's her social media. No. But when you
Yeah.
meet people and you tell them, and follow me here, then it's different.
Yeah, and definitely the other thing is, I think LinkedIn has been another underrated kind of site because there's so many uh, business deals and different things that happen on LinkedIn. So if you're
Mhm.
watching from Facebook or YouTube and you don't have a LinkedIn, I would strongly suggest LinkedIn is you have to be on LinkedIn because a lot of clients you can get from LinkedIn, and then start collecting emails for your own personal email list so that if some of these social media sites go down, at least you're building your own list and your network of people and things like that. So yeah, that I would say those are some big tips. And then you're still, going to be most likely working still either full time or part time
Mhm.
or per diem or something while you're doing that transition, and that's totally okay. You just have to see how where you want to spend your most time, like you said, and then really generating money generating activities, as I call them. I follow a lot of people uh, that talk about marketing and things like that. A lot of times we waste our time in certain activities. So really look at what is really who's paying you the most,
Mhm.
right? And with kind of like the least resistance kind of who is your target audience, be really clear on that, and be really clear on what you offer,
Yeah.
because a lot of people will not make decisions to buy if they're confused and they don't have clarity and they don't see the value, right? And again, you know Google has this 7-11-4 rule, which a lot of people talk about, which is like people have to see you basically multiple times on different channels
Mhm.
to be able to trust you before they make a purchase, right?
Mhm.
So, before we end, I guess, you want to tell them about, how they can reach you, how they can work with you, any final words to the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So, any Black future nurses, if you are interested, in becoming a nurse and you need some guidance along the way, please reach out to me at Nursing Inspired. And you can find me on at nursinginspired.com, and follow the podcast, Listen Up Future Nurse, among all of the streaming places that you can listen to and watch. And then for anything women's health related, you can follow me at your GYN girlfriend, not only online, but also consider having me booked as a speaker, because I do have some signature speaking topics that I do just for teenagers, college students, and then anybody over age 16 when it comes to women's health. And stay tuned with your GYN girlfriend also for the launch of my upcoming blog called Glow Up Health, Wellness for College and Early Career Women. So that is it for me.
Awesome. And then, I'll put all those links and everything later so that you guys can connect with her, and then you can follow her and check out all the great things that she is doing. So, yeah. And then any last words for them?
Um, well, I do want to thank you, of course, for having me on. I got to thank the host now. We got to do things in decent and in order. But,
Hey,
truly, I'll say, make sure that, you are having discernment, because you don't know what you don't know. So you can always, follow some of the people. I was following Dr. Farah for some time, actually. She don't even know. But follow these folks on LinkedIn, like she mentioned. Get yourself a LinkedIn, please, Lord. And connect with folks, have conversations, see who's available to mentor you. But otherwise, at some point in time, you do really have to invest. Just kind of going back to that piece. Oh, but you were asking, you said something that, and we can close out. You said something about your time in between, where you want to spend your most time between working part-time, full-time, and all of that type of stuff.
Yeah.
That's where, again, I think a coach or mentor would help you. You can kind of have some decisions on that on yourself, but bounce that off of somebody else to kind of lay that out, because it has been a challenge and a transition for me over time. And I remember sobbing with my coach, at times trying to really find my way on how do I still balance work with entrepreneurship. And little by little, I've gotten more and more to the place where I need to be. So I'm so grateful to have my coach to be able to help me out in those harrowing times.
Yeah. And that's amazing. And this is, this is why even now I'm still kind of, and we were just talking offline before this, my target audience is new graduate nurses, because that's who I love to really help with their transition to practice and really land their dream job in whatever particular area they want to land. Because, I struggled with that when I first started, because, how nursing is, sometimes they tell you to do certain things, kind of old school narrative, but I'm here to really change that whole narrative for new grads. But now so many nurses have come to me and they're like, well, how did you start this nurse career coaching business? And this is where this, Nurses Making Money Moves was born, because my other target audience now is also aspiring nurse entrepreneurs who are starting service-based businesses like coaches and consultants. And I'm actually doing a mastermind May 2nd and 3rd in Clearwater Beach. So if you're interested, I still have a spot. Definitely message me for that, and definitely would love to have you back on in the future to talk about more business related topics. So I would love to have you back. So again, thank you for your time. Please follow her, and and that's it for us today.
All right. Thank y'all. See you next